believe it or not, but trusting your friends can sometimes be the costliest mistake of your life, while placing trust in an enemy could be the best move to make. The second law in the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene talks about this exact concept. And although it may seem strange at first, it does have its explanations. So, why should you not trust someone whom you know so well and that have been there with you in the toughest of times? And speaking of tough times, why would you intentionally place the antagonist in the passenger seat? In the mid-9th century, the emperor of the Byzantine Empire, Michael III, needed an advisor, and naturally he turned to his best friend, Basilius, a former peasant who had saved Michael's life, and whom Michael thought he owed everything. This would prove to be a costly mistake though. Basilius wanted more, and Michael thought that, hey, it's only right if I give this man what he wants. So eventually Basilius ended up being the head of the army and also had huge influence over the political sphere in the Byzantine Empire. And it all came down to Michael even naming Basilius his co-emperor. But in the end, Basilius wanted more than just that, and so he murdered Michael III and took the throne himself. Now, Michael could easily have seen this coming. He saw his friend, how he wanted just more and more and more. But his love for his friend, the friendship he had built with him, blinded him from seeing the truth. And so he couldn't possibly think that his best friend would betray him. Basilius may have gotten countless favors, but as often is the human nature, we tend to think that when we get into a position of power, we are self-made, and we downplay all these favors and gifts that other people have given us throughout the life. Now to the other side of rule. The first emperor of what was to become the Song dynasty during the 10th century offered his generals to get away from him and move into luxurious estate. The thing is that Song knew that these generals conspired to kill him, and by moving them away, literally, he also moved the problem away from him. Now, this Song emperor also made a habit of turning his worst enemies into his counselors. So what he would do was he would defeat his enemies' armies in battle, and then when the enemy thought they would have to live the rest of their lives in prison, he instead offered them a position as counselor, as advisor for himself. The reason your friends betray you is that they are aroused to envy, while your enemies, on the other hand, have a lot more to prove to you. And Robert Greene also mentions that if you don't have any enemies, you should be sure to make them. And this may seem scary and counterproductive even, but there are other people who have expressed the same type of beliefs, possibly influenced by the 48 Laws of Power. One such person is Patrick Bet-David, who talks a lot about having enemies and the importance of that. And that might not be a topic I delve into right now, but another interesting thing that appeared on a podcast with Bet-David and the host Chris Williamson was a quote. So Chris Williamson said that people want you to do well, they just don't want you to do better than them. And this has its natural explanation. We tend to hang out with people of similar status. And if you think about it, when one of your friends becomes super successful, you are of course going to be happy for them. But at the same time, you probably know that you wouldn't be able to feel completely content with this. You would look up to them and see that they have become so much more than you currently are, and you would then begin to resent them in some ways, and possibly even think and hope that they would come down to your level again, or not be at such a level above you. And this connects to something that Hamza talks a lot about, crabs in a bucket. So if you imagine yourself being in a bucket and you have all these crabs around you, and as you start to try to make your way up the bucket and escape it, these will drag you down. And the same thing goes with these friends, that when you become successful, they will try to drag you down. So all these things just kind of connect all together, which I think is super interesting. At last, the second law of power may state that you should be careful with trusting your friends, and that is absolutely right. But it does not say that you should never trust your friends, because hey, it's the people you spend the most time with and know the best. So absolutely, spend time with them, have fun with them, and trust these people. But still, be on the lookout and be extra careful when it comes to choosing business partners and other sorts of things where you need to rely heavily on one person and where the success of you and your company or similar depends on this person. Because that's when that enemy within the friend may come out. On the contrary, if you need advice or even a business partner, why not ask your enemies? Because hey, our enemies of today are not like on Michael III's case or in the case of the Emperor Song, people that would kill you. Your enemies today are people that you compare yourselves to and that you know are comparing themselves to you. And you have this competition between you, and why not ask these people to jump on in and join you in your business? Plus, why would you want to do business with a friend? Because you know that working long hours and doing lots of high pressure work could wear and tear down your relationship with this friend. So why risk it? This law of power may not be super relevant to you, and you may feel as though this is not really going to happen in your life. I highly advise you to think through this and learn from it, so that you are ready if you are to end up in a similar situation to Michael III, where you have to rule an entire empire. Because keep in mind, friends get easily jealous and they expect a lot of favors from you, while your enemies, they don't expect anything and they have lots to prove. And with that, I'm leaving you.